Jamaica is one of the countries on earth that took over the world by capturing, occupying, and settling in the hearts of the people.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is just a short clip of a video I'm going to play. It is a 40-second video. This young man is saying and is telling the whole world how Jamaica or Jamaicans captured the hearts of people. Naturally, people are just, attracted towards Jamaicans without forcing anyone, without terrorizing anybody. Let me play that video. Thereafter, we're going to discuss, because the way Jamaicans and Jamaica has captured the hearts of people and the world love them. Some people get offended and some people always come online to try and attack Jamaicans.
Jamaica is one of the countries on earth that took over the world by capturing, occupying, and settling in the hearts of the people without ever firing a single bullet, without terrorizing, humiliating, or enslaving the indigenous people, and all that through the unstoppable power and the rhythm of reggae music. But even beyond that, the greatest gift Jamaica ever gave the world, one of the things Jamaica gave the world forever was, let me take this out, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and that's the star line.
So ladies and gentlemen, after watching that video, you can hear this man talk about Jamaica. It is telling us how Jamaicans captured the hearts of people naturally, and also with the unstoppable rhythm, music, and their swag. Of late, when I post a video promoting or appreciating Jamaicans, you're always going to see we've got people who just hate for nothing. They just get offended. That magical power of Jamaicans, the unstoppable spirit, the love they get all over the world, does not sit well with people. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to give you a few reasons why sometimes when you just talk positively about Jamaicans and Jamaica, we've got people who will always come and attack. Number one, this man have talked about Marcus Garvey. To my Jamaican family, the fact that Marcus Garvey came from Jamaica, it doesn't go well with many people. Because as far as black activism is concerned, and even Pan-Africanism, Marcus Garvey stands at the top. This young man has talked about the Black Star Line shipping company. This was the brainchild of Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey knew that for black people to be free, Jamaicans to be free, United States of America, our brothers in that country to be free, and even Africa, we had to be economically empowered, financially empowered. We have to control the economy. So Marcus Garvey thought it wise to come up with a shipping company that was sabotaged. That is what happened by the FBI, and the idea of mail fraud. And a few months ago, he was cleared by Biden. This was just to make sure that the Black Star Line shipping company, it doesn't prosper. And they managed to bring it down. But the main aim of Marcus Garvey was to come up with an economical empowerment for all people in Africa, in Jamaica, Caribbean, and even in the United States of America. His aim was also to facilitate, trade between Africans, Americans, the Caribbean community. That was the dream of Marcus Garvey. And so there are people who saw this and they had to bring Marcus Garvey down. In history, Marcus Garvey has got a very big name. And when you look at his origin, his country of birth, it is Jamaica. So Marcus Garvey, standing at the topmost part of activism as far as all people within the African continent, in the Caribbean are concerned, Marcus Garvey is at the top. And I've said, the fact that he comes from Jamaica, people who are against Jamaicans, they feel bad because the flag of Marcus Garvey is always high. Look at the flag of Ghana, the Black Star. This was incorporated because of the respect they had for Marcus Garvey. So my first point, people are offended with Jamaicans because Marcus Garvey, the great Marcus Garvey, originated from Jamaica. So if Marcus Garvey was coming from their own country, they would be proud of him. But the fact that when you write history of the greatest activist, Marcus Garvey, he has to come from Jamaica. And Jamaica received all this praise for producing a brave man in history. It doesn't sit well with them. Number two, ladies and gentlemen, why you'll find when you talk positive about Jamaica, people just attack for no reason. Resistance to being controlled. Jamaicans are known. You cannot take advantage of them. They don't accept oppression. They don't accept injustice, not only within themselves, but in the whole world. You've even seen how they have stood with Ibrahim Traore. They resist any form of oppression. And so people are timid. People are coward. They find out. They think that, Jamaicans are aggressive. No, Jamaicans don't accept any form of oppression. I've given you a story about the UK Windrush generation, and many Africans have always said Jamaicans stood with them. The Somali guy, the other time, he came out and he said that Jamaicans need to be respected for the fight they put in the UK during the Windrush generation. They resisted injustice, they resisted oppression. Let's go to the Maroons in Jamaica. The British, they tried it, and they had to accept a defeat from the Maroons, because the Maroons from Jamaica could not accept to be treated like lesser human beings. And we know, even Martin Luther King giving respect to Jamaica, we know that Jamaicans will always resist any form of oppression, any form of injustice. And that's why anywhere you try, oppressing any human being, and we have got even 100 Jamaicans, they're always going to rebel anybody trying to put human beings down. Number 3, ladies and gentlemen, why we see people always just hating, Jamaicans for no reason. That is what is called cultural intimidation. Cultural intimidation. The Jamaican culture is very vibrant. Jamaicans have got swag, they've got rhythm, they've got pride, and their culture is loud. That's why the whole world, the Jamaican culture is known, ladies and gentlemen. And so we've got people who feel offended because they can't match the energy of Jamaicans. They can't match that vibe. They can't match the creativity that Jamaican culture is bringing. And so, culturally, we've got a lot of people who feel intimidated. They feel that their culture have been overshadowed by the Jamaican culture. Because, ask yourself, you go to Africa, you go to Europe, you go to all over the world, people want to imitate the Jamaican culture. And so we've got people who don't feel well. Instead of also appreciating the Jamaican culture, when you appreciate it, they start attacking Jamaicans for no good reason, just because the Jamaican culture is superior, and we've got people who feel that their culture is being intimidated. Number 4, Jamaicans will always tell you the truth. They are unapologetic and they don't fear speaking the truth. And so if you're someone who don't love the truth or who doesn't love the truth, you're always going, to feel offended and also irritated by Jamaicans because they speak the truth. Let me give you an example. There is a time I did a content and I said that the Jamaican flag is, black, green, and yellow. When I said yellow, there is a Jamaican friend of mine who called me direct. And he told me, African Walk, our flag is not yellow. Our flag is gold. So next time, never mention that our flag is yellow. He was a friend of mine. But he told me that even if I'm your friend, I'm going to tell you the truth. If you want us to be friends, you've got to represent us well. So my Jamaican friend, he called me and he spoke the truth. Ladies and gentlemen. And from there I learned. And I knew that it is gold, green, and black. So what am I trying to say? Jamaicans will always speak the truth. They don't shy away from speaking the truth. And so we are in a world where people just want to be lied to, but Jamaicans are always going to face what should be faced. And that's why there are people who are always going to try and bring them down and attack them, because they know these are people who don't lie. They say the truth how it is. They call the spade a spade, not a big spoon. Number 5, ladies and gentlemen. Jamaicans receive a lot of criticism and they receive hate because they refuse to be silenced. They refuse to be told to keep quiet whenever there is an oppression, whenever there is something that is going, against humanity. You can never silence them, ladies and gentlemen. They're always going to speak out. They're always going to speak their mind. You remember when I played you a video of a Jamaican in Ghana, when a school wanted his son, to shave off the dreadlocks, his natural hair. The Jamaican never kept quiet. He went around Ghana. He went and petitioned. He went to the court and he won the case. They don't just keep quiet whenever they see their rights being taken away from them. So Jamaicans can never be silenced. And a people that can never be silenced are seen as a threat to the world, because the world wants to, we've got people who want to just control people in the world. They want people to do what they want, and they want, people to keep quiet when they say it is time to keep quiet. And that is not to the Jamaicans. You can never silence them. They'll always speak out, ladies and gentlemen. Number 6, ladies and gentlemen, Jamaicans know their worth. And if you're interacting or, relating to somebody who knows their worth, they appear to be proud and rude. And that's why people say that Jamaicans are proud. They know their worth, because once you know who you are, and I think this comes from, Marcus Garvey idea, who said that a people without the knowledge of their history is like a tree without its roots. Jamaicans know their history. They know their worth. They know their value. And that's why you can never bring them down. The only thing you can do is to attack them online, and come up with some hateful comments, because you can't bring them down. They know who they are, they know their worth, and they know their value. And that makes them stand out and stand tall, and also appear to be proud and appear to have a lot of pride. But it is not, a pride in a bad way. These are people who believe in themselves, who trust in themselves, and they know that as human beings, they're valuable. And so many people feel intimidated. Many people feel offended, because anywhere you go in the world, a Jamaican will always stand tall. A Jamaican will always be conspicuous and is always going to be noticed. Why? They know their worth and value. And this does not go well with many people. That's why you're going to see a lot of hateful comments, ladies and gentlemen. Number 7, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot erase Jamaicans from history. You can't erase them. You can't delete them. You go to the history of the United States of America. Jamaica's played a very big role, ladies and gentlemen. You go to UK, Windrush, Jamaicans played a big role. You go to Europe, they played a big role. You come to Africa, independence and speaking up for Africans, standing up for Africans. Jamaicans are always there. So in the whole world, Jamaicans and Jamaica has created history. Jamaica is part of the world history. You can never delete that or erase that. And so we've got people whose countries are not, part of history. Their country is not known for influencing the world, ladies and gentlemen. And whenever they come online and they go all corners of the online world, they find it is Jamaica, Jamaica, Jamaica. And this makes them, grow some hate. This makes them have some hate towards the Jamaicans, because they look at the Jamaican history and the world history. They are connected, and they realize you can never delete Jamaicans or erase them from history. The only thing you can do that is easy is to hate. Why? Because they are very influential and popular as far as history is concerned. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, Jamaicans are not for sale. Now, what do I mean? That is a story that I've always talked about, and I will always repeat it, because this was a very great achievement for Africans. When Jamaica was the only country that said, we are not going to trade with an oppressive government in the South African country. Jamaicans stood, and they were not looking for money. They say, it's about humanity. So this is a group of people that are not up for sale. If you look at most of the reggae artists, look at the history of Peter Tosh. There is a time he was performing in Zimbabwe, and he opened the gates. People came for free. There is another Jamaican reggae artist called Burning Spear. He came to Kenya. That was 17 years ago. And he opened the gates and performed free of charge. We've got many Jamaicans that value humanity. They value, they vibe with people over money. And so they cannot be bribed, ladies and gentlemen, as far as history is concerned. And so we've got people who feel offended, because when you try, bribing them to side with you and oppress human beings, you realize that is not Jamaicans. And the fact that they stood with South Africa and they were ready, to let go all the financial gains, because when you're trading with a particular country, it's financially benefiting. But Jamaicans said enough is enough. We're not going to benefit financially, and our brothers and sisters in South Africa are being oppressed. And so Jamaicans prove to be a threat to people who want to oppress the world. and you realize they are not up for sale. So ladies and gentlemen, today I was reacting on a short video of that video that I played for you, whereby this man was saying Jamaicans and Jamaica captured the hearts of people without terrorizing anybody, without forcing anybody, and the world just fell in love with Jamaica. But we've got people who are always not happy. Anytime Jamaica, is given a positive light, anytime the world is embracing Jamaicans, we've got people who feel offended and they can always come and attack. And today, we were giving reasons as to why some people, whenever the name Jamaica is mentioned, they feel as if the world should open and they be buried. But we're telling them, Jamaicans are here to stay. You can never delete them, erase them from history. I've always said, if you can't beat them, join them. Let's come together, ladies and gentlemen, and appreciate the good things Jamaica has done to this world. The good music, the good food, the good culture, the pride, And once we come together and embrace our brothers and sisters, we are going to enjoy this world. Those are new in this channel is called African Walk. Our aim is to promote love, which came from a song done by Bob Marley, One Love. Our inspirations come from Marcus Garvey, whom I've talked about, and he wanted to see Africans within the continent, in the diaspora, we come together. I've even mentioned the Black Star Line, the shipping company. The aim was to empower all of us financially. And we believe that all of us, we are one people, one African family, one Caribbean family, and one diaspora family. For now, my people, we say in Patois, Likulmo.